everyone, welcome back again to our class, and today we will proceed to our next lesson, which is the professionals and practitioners in counseling. So last time we talked about the discipline of counseling, we identified the goals and scope of counseling, we defined counseling also, we demonstrated comprehension of the principles of counseling, we learned about the core values and the principles of counseling. So today we will learn more about the roles and functions of counseling. But before that, let's take a look on the objectives of today's lesson. So at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to show understanding of the roles and functions of counselors, identify specific work areas in which counselors work, identify career opportunities for counselors, value rights, responsibilities, and accountabilities, and distinguish between ethical and unethical behaviors among counselors. So this time, let's proceed to the roles, functions, and competencies of counselors. So number one, we have this self-understanding and self-awareness. So self-understanding is another way of looking at self-awareness or how it interplays with the therapeutic process. So in this way, self-awareness is defined in terms of gaining greater understanding of the self through the objective input of a therapy. So the process of counseling is essentially a journey of self-discovery. So being self-aware is the foundation for making changes in one's life. So in understanding the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we behave, our strengths and weaknesses, the situation of people that trigger us, the memories that haunt us, and so on, can begin to heal. So through awareness, we can determine what we accept about ourselves and what we desire to change. Number two is the psychologically healthy. So psychologically healthy is a general idea of what we think a psychologically healthy person looks like. So maybe it's not being depressed or anxious, it's not being suffering or not having a diagnosis. Maybe it's being happy or simply able to live a good life. So all of these things are important and have great merit. But what are the specific factors that make a person psychologically healthy? So what do you think? So this time, I will give you the 5 hallmarks that hardly anyone thinks about. So number one, you're able to hold two opposites in your mind at the same time. So are you a good person or are you a bad person? Do you like the movie or not? Are you talented? Yes or no? Or who's right? You or me? So those are the example of opposite sides. So opposites go together far better than most people realize. And if you can hold the opposite sides in your mind together at the same time, it gives you a bird's eye view of yourself as a person or a situation that is far more accurate and real than grasping for a one-dimensional answer. So, dapat nasa gitna ka lagi. And then number two, you can manage your feelings while communicating. So, managing your emotion is one thing and communicating is another. So, each is a difficult skill to master. So, being able to manage the anger or hurt you are feeling can explain to someone how you feel, but it is very, very difficult and hard process. Lalo na kapag galit na galit ka, you don't know how to control your emotion. You don't know kung ano yung mga words na lalabas sa bunganga mo. And sometimes, you don't know also kung anong action yung ginagawa mo on that time. So, dapat, you know how to manage your feelings. You know how to control your angerness. You know how to speak. You know how to decide in terms of that emotion, kung nasa ganyan kang emotion. Number three, you're self-aware. So better understand yourself. The more resilient you are in challenging situations, the better you can forgive yourself for mistake. And the better life choices you can make for yourself. Again, better understand yourself. The more resilient you are in challenging situations, the better you can forgive yourselves for mistakes, and the better life choices you can make for yourself. Number 4, you're comfortable in your own skin. So this involves being happy to simply be you. Think of it as spending time with yourself. You are happy, at least in small matters, and of course, you are comfortable in any situation without minding people around you. You will know how to give thanks. You know how to be happy in a simple way. And of course, number 5, you're willing to take risks. So being able to stretch yourself not only within your comfort zone but beyond it. So take a great deal of strength and resilience. Next, we have this sensitivity. So all models of multicultural counseling ground cultural sensitivity in awareness of client culture. So you cannot anticipate fully the cultural backgrounds of clients you will encounter in your practice. However, as much as possible, you are responsible to be well informed about the life experiences of person from diverse ethnic, from the ability or the age, the gender, the sexual orientation, the gender identity, the class, and religious practice. So this background information must always be held tentatively. However, because within group differences and the idiosyncratic nature of personal culture identities, we know how to be aware to the client's culture. We should know how about its background as well as about its experiences as a person. Next is we have this open-mindedness or being open-minded. So opening our minds and hearts to this part of ourselves can be difficult since essentially we probably won't trust them or even know them at all. So opening your mind and heart means with kindness and compassion, tending and befriending those repudiated parts of you. So at all side, sa lahat ng mga situations, you must be open-minded and then just listen to the client and know what is his problem. And of course, do not judge according to what he says or what she says, but listen and then be open-mindedness. And of course, you must be on the center of that situation. Next, we have this objectivity. So objectivity or taking an objective position on something means you are saying you can step out yourself and know something to be true. So that's the way they're in the real world. So it's helpful to think of things objectively. So the way everyone can be clear about what we are observing and everyone has the same information on which to make judgment. Meaning you have that um you have the reason, you have that information na pagbabasihan mo not only with the news or information that you've gathered outside, but of course, you will judge it based on the client's information that have given to you, and it must be the same and appropriate information. So, dapat hindi iba-iba yung sinasabi ng client sa'yo, and dapat yung tutuhanin niya talaga, yung totoong-totoo. Kung ano yung nasa loob niya, yun yung sasabihin niya. Another one, we have this competence. Okay, so a competent counselor is able to work with clients to help them understand themselves and the relationship more deeply and to use this information to make better, healthier decisions is very good kung yan yung gagamitin. So basic competency in this field requires a baseline understanding of psychology and therapeutic theory, but counseling relationship is as variable as your clients. So dapat kilala, marunong, may pasensya ang counselor, and of course, he or she knows kung ano yung nararamdaman na client niya. Another one is trustworthiness. So what is this? So one of the counselor's first objective when meeting a client is to build some form of trust. That is very important. Kung ang client mo hindi confident sa relationship sa iyo as a counselor, syempre hindi niya yan i-open lahat ng mga challenges na kinakaharap niya. And meron lang yang limitation. And then, if the client has built a good trust sa iyo as a counselor, so you already create a rapport in a professional counseling relationship. Of course, lahat ng nasa kanya or lahat ng tinatago niya, sasabihin niya sa iyo because he or she feels comfortably with you. Feel niya yung parang ang gaan ng loob niya kapag kausap ka niya. Pero pag hindi kasi, parang hinahatak pa siya pabalik na hindi sabihin lahat kung anong meron sa kanya. Next, we have these interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills, of course, these are the measures of how adept you are at interacting with others. So active listening is an interpersonal skill, and it's very important, as is knowing how to communicate to someone else that you respect him or her. So when problems arise, you use your interpersonal skills to resolve conflict with others. Pakikipag-usap, yun yung importante. So, people learn interpersonal skills by interacting with family members, going to school, and socializing with their peers. So, ang socialization na papasok siya sa interpersonal skills kasi nakikipag-usap o nakikipag-mingle ka sa ibang tao. So, the healthy interpersonal skills reduce stress, of course. It resolve conflict, it improve communication, it enhance intimacy, it increase understanding, and promote joy. So, yun yung nakakaganda kapag meron kang interpersonal skills sa iyo. But may mga tao din naman na intrapersonal skills yung meron sa kanya at wala sa kanila yung interpersonal skills, kaya mapapansin natin na mahiyain sila. So, what are the examples of interpersonal skills? So, we have the communication skills that involve listening and speaking effectively. We have also these assertiveness skills that involve expressing yourself and your rights without violating other rights. We have also these conflict resolution skills, or you help resolve differences so that you may continue a relationship effectively. You have that anger management skills that involve recognizing and expressing anger appropriately in order to achieve goals, to handle emergencies, to solve problems, and even protect our health. So those are the examples of interpersonal skills. So now let's go for the areas of specialization where counselors work. So we have this, career counselors. So career counselors help prepare clients in starting or changing or advancing their careers. So career counseling is the process that will help you to know and understand yourself in the world of work in order to make career, to make educational and life decisions. So career development is more than just deciding on a major and what job you want to get when you graduate. So it's really a long process. So meaning that throughout your life, you will change. The situations will change. And you will continually have to make career and life decisions. So the goal of career counseling is not only to help you make your own decisions, but to give you knowledge and skills that you make to future career and life decisions. Next, we have these child abuse counselors. So child abuse counselors have the demanding and rewarding task of helping victims of child abuse to rebuild their psyche, their trust, and happiness. So in child abuse counselors, they are licensed mental providers who have expertise in physical, in sexual, and or emotional abuse. They may work with traumatized children or adult survivors na nakaranas din ng childhood abuses. So, yung mental health counselors, hindi lamang nag-counsel for the kung sino yung na-abuse, but they counsel also those abusers or yung nag-abuse. So, yung method ng counselors ay iba-iba depende sa population na pinagsisilbihan nila. Another one is a child or pediatric counselor. So child and youth counselors provide treatment to children, Hindi lamang sa mga bata, but then to the adolescents also na mayroong mental, mayroong behavior or emotional disorders. So they diagnose issues, they create treatment plans, and help young people with challenges affecting their stability. So yung child counselors ay nagtatrabaho sa school, sa social service offices, sa mga hospitals, sa juvenile detention centers, in homeless shelters, the domestic violence shelters, outpatient clinics. No, sila yung nag-a-assess sa mga bata na mayroong mga past traumas, including of course yung mga abuses pa rin, yung mga bullying na na-i-experience nila, and of course yung being homelessness nila. So under siya sa child pediatric counselor. So we have also this community mental health counselors. So these are mental professionals who provide therapy, who provide consultation and coaching to people who are having issues in the community setting. So ito siya yung nagmumroblema palagi, especially those people who don't always have salaries. In fact, it's often the opposite. We find mental illness among the homeless, yung sa mga walang trabaho or yung mga naghahanap pa ng trabaho. So in some cases, yung mental illness yung rason sa mga limited resources. And for whatever reason, hindi lamang for the limited resources na meron ng isang tao, but of course, if meron silang mga genetic disorder, meron silang mga premature birth, meron silang fetal alcohol syndrome, or kung meron silang mga mental conditions na kino-combine sometimes with physical disability or mental retardation. So, nahalo-halo na lahat. So, these individuals depend on the service of clinics with sliding fee skills. So, nasa community mental health counselors yan. Next, we have this conflict resolution counselor. So, what is this? So, this is an approach to treatment that seeks to teach people conflict resolution skills and was designed primarily to help couples. So, sa mga magpartner. And it can be used, of course, to address conflict in any situation that arises in a family. Hindi lamang sa mga magpartner, but of course, pwede rin sa mga magbarkada, sa mga magkaibigan, or sa family, or pwede rin sa mga katrabaho, or in any other situation. So, when conflict is not resolved appropriately, ano yung mag-a-arise? Of course, your negative emotional states. Yun yung papasok dyan. And of course, magde-develop into situation that can have serious or lasting consequences on all personal and professional relationships. Maaapektuhan yung relationship ninyo both sides. So, yung mga internal conflicts can be detrimental to your family, to your friends and co-workers. So, dapat mas maaga pag-usapan na ng masinsinan, ng maayos, para hindi na humaba yung pag-aaway. Kasi yung conflict, it is very destructive. No, naglilid siya sa isang tao para ma-develop yung negative feelings niya, hindi lamang sa mga sayo, hindi lamang sa side na yan, kundi sa mga kasama rin niya. And of course, it will spend energy on conflict that could be better spent elsewhere. Kahit saan ka, basta may kaaway ka, yung dalang emotion mo is very negative. Another one is the domestic violence counselor. So, domestic violence is one of the prevalent issues that take place in the home setting. So, counselors work with victims of abuse in the home to help them escape damaging relationships and overcome the effects of trauma. Yun yung iniiwasan para hindi matrauma o hindi na matakot yung client nila. They work on shelters, sa mga bahay, the social services agencies, the mental health facilities sa mga schools, sa protective service agencies, para matulungan ang bawat isa na naka-experience ito or yung mga matagal nang naka-experience mga domestic abuse or violence. So these counselors also work with perpetrators to break the cycle of violence. So sila yung tumutulong. Kaya pwede siyang, kung may mga experiences na ganyan, so pwede siyang ilapit or pwede siyang makasuhan yung abusee ng violation against this VAUSI, the violence against women and children. So, yun yung pwedeng panghawakan na mga na-abuse. Another one is geriatric counselors. So, these counselors provide therapy and counseling service to senior citizens and their family. So, these geriatric counselor or gerontological counselors help individuals and families with issues relating to the aging process. So, syempre tayo pupunta rin tayo dyan. That's why we need to know what is this therapy na kailangan para sa mga matatanda. So, the areas of concern includes lahat ng mga concern. It also includes the retirement transition through the end of life. So, one of the central issues that the elderly must cope with is loss, yung pagkawala. So, most people get their first experience with death as children. So, however, people deal with death much more frequently in their senior years. So, particularly, the difficult are the losses of spouse and lifelong friends. Especially yung mga malalapit sa'yo, yun yung pinakamasakit. And then, we have this grief counselors. So, these counselors are usually licensed with therapists who helps people cope with the grief and sense of loss that usually follows the death of loved one, a divorce, or tragic life experiences. Kung sa geriatric counselors, it focuses sa mga matatanda or yung mga may edad na, these grief counselors are for everyone. It is the people who experiences loss at some point in their lives. So, this grief is, of course, the reaction sa lahat ng mga loss na experiences. And the bereavement is a type of grief involving the death of a loved one or sa mga kakilala. So, the bereavement and grief encompasses a range of feelings, deep sadness to anger. So, the process of adapting to a significant loss can vary dramatically from one person to other. So, it only depends on person's background, the beliefs, and relationship to what was lost. So, yun yung mahirap, though hindi mo siya kamag-anak, if malapit siya sa'yo, it really affects your life, it really affects your emotions. So, makikidamay ka talaga. So, that's all for today. So, thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for the continuation of this topic. So, stay home, stay safe, everyone, and God bless you all.